He cut the last rope himself, knowing he might die doing it, and the ship fell anyway. When we left off, Will had just carried the alien robot to a cliff edge, said his goodbye, and let it fall. It shattered into pieces far below, and nobody knew if that was really the end. Now, with fuel running low and the planet itself falling apart, the survivors have one shot left to escape, and the road to it runs straight through a field of erupting gas. Quick reminder before we dive back in, subscribe if you haven't. It genuinely helps us keep these recaps coming. Now, back to the danger. The ground beneath the group collapses without warning, leaving only a narrow path through gas eruptions that fire on a strict 3.5-minute cycle. They time it, gun the engines, and go. Then a control cable snaps loose. Brakes fail. The fuel vehicle slows to a crawl with barely 2.5 minutes left on the clock. A boy volunteers to climb onto the moving roof and fix the cable by hand. He's nearly thrown off twice, but he gets it done, and the vehicle lurches back to speed. For 1 second, everyone breathes. Then, with only seconds left, a violent gas eruption hits the vehicle dead on. It flips. The boy ends up trapped underneath the fuel tank, saved from being crushed by a single wedged rock. A rock that, if moved wrong, will also spill every drop of their fuel. Don climbs in and manages to lift the tank. The fuel pours out through a tear anyway. The mission to save the fuel fails completely, but the boy is freed. Spirits rise in the back of the truck, jokes about new legs, promises of surfing lessons once he heals. Right up until his condition turns, and despite everything Judy tries, he dies. Meanwhile, John and Morin, driving to question Angela about a gun she's been hiding, get ambushed by gas eruptions of their own. John swerves hard and lands them in a pit of thick tar. It swallows their vehicle whole. Their radio antenna snaps off, useless, lying just out of reach outside. Trapped, oxygen dropping, heat climbing, John does something drastic. He puts the only working suit on his wife and prepares to sacrifice himself so she can escape. Morin stops him. She has an idea. Use the vehicle's leftover helium and an airtight seal to force the tar back, just long enough to crawl free through a makeshift tunnel. It works. They cut themselves loose and burst out of the tar pit into the open air, laughing from sheer relief. For about as long as it takes June to reappear. June has been busy. She's found the alien robot's shattered remains at the base of that cliff and dragged the pieces back together, desperate to make it work again. Because if she controls that robot, she controls the most powerful thing on this planet. It stays lifeless. She screams in frustration. Then, alone in her cabin, she starts replaying video files Will recorded, and somewhere in that footage, the robot's disassembled parts begin faintly to react. Here's the trust question at the center of everything right now. Would you hand a machine that powerful to someone who's already lied to your entire family just because she's the one holding the pieces? Because that's exactly what's about to happen. John and Morin, having barely survived the tar, hike back and stumble on Captain Victor, preparing to launch his own ship, despite not having nearly enough fuel to clear the atmosphere. Morin warns him he'll crash. He launches anyway. John has to sneak aboard and hit the emergency stop himself just to save them from a fatal mistake. At the meeting that follows, John delivers the real bad news. The planet's orbit has shifted, a black hole has formed behind the sun, and everything here will eventually burn. There is no staying. Morin works out a wild plan, strip the ship down to nothing, ditch even the navigation system, and fly it manually from the ground, the way NASA once did with the earliest space capsules. While the ship gets stripped for parts, Morin finally locks June in storage, done falling for her manipulation. June threatens that she's already sabotaged their escape ship. Morin doesn't buy it and walks away, but the ship genuinely can now only be flown by hand, and someone has to be the pilot. The requirement is brutal. Whoever wakes up fastest after blacking out from G-force has the job. That person turns out to be John. John refuses at first. He doesn't want to leave his family behind. Morin reminds him of a promise he made to come home. The family votes together to let him go. Then comes practice. Strapped in, spun toward blackout again and again, his body pushed past its limit each time, and every attempt still comes back too slow. Just as they run out of options, a transmission arrives. The mothership must abandon this region within 24 hours because of the black hole. Miss that window, and everyone left behind dies with the planet. Don, revealed as the ship's original repairman, reluctantly agrees to help pilot alongside John. Their first joint test somehow works, but there's no time left for a second one. John says goodbye to his family one by one. Don asks Judy to look after his chicken. Then the two men climb into the ship and, with Morin guiding them from the ground, launch. The G's hit. Both men black out mid-flight, and Morin has to talk them back to consciousness in real time before the ship can even level out. It works. The ship climbs, engines venting heat exactly as planned, and for one clean moment, it looks like they've made it. Then a strange cloud appears ahead, and someone creeps up behind Morin on the ground and knocks her out cold. It's June, who tricked Will into letting her out of storage minutes earlier. With no one left giving commands, the ship explodes in midair in front of everyone. It looks unmistakably like John and Dawn just died. Will refuses to believe it, insisting it has to be a communication glitch. Judy heads out to find their kidnapped mother. In the woods, June ties Morin to a tree and drags her toward the alien wreck, convinced the failure isn't the robot's fault, but the ship's. When Morin accidentally triggers the alien engine during a struggle, it activates on contact, and a flood of memory hits both women at once. Humans stole this engine from the aliens in the first place. Every attack was never random. It was retrieval. Judy finds her mother's location and knocks June out cold with a stun device before she can do more damage. But the moment June's hand brushed the alien wreckage earlier, something in it had already started to change. As Judy frees her mother and grabs the chicken, the alien robot, somehow alive again, blocks their path, grabs the vehicle's bumper, and refuses to let them leave. Then June gets back up. The robot gives a warning. It has accepted her as its new master because she's the one who brought it back. Meanwhile, Will smashes a rock the robot once gave him out of pure frustration, and it splits open, reeking, revealing itself as concentrated fossilized fuel, bio-waste from some apex predator on this planet, powerful enough to fuel every remaining ship if they can collect enough of it fast. The catch: whatever's producing it sits at the top of the food chain, and getting close to its source means walking straight into its territory. The group enters a cave dripping with the substance, torches low, moving in total silence, only to discover giant alien bats hanging directly overhead. They work in near silence collecting fuel, one drop tool away from disaster, until a crackling radio wakes the colony and sends everyone sprinting for the exit. One man dragged off by a bat mid-escape, saved only by Angela's last-second distraction. They get out, and in the chaos, Will finally gets a message through. His father is alive somewhere and heard him. High above the planet, John and Dawn really did survive that explosion, floating in the ship's wreckage with only a few hours of oxygen left between them. John uses Morse code to confirm they've found the fuel. Down below, ship after ship successfully launches using the new biofuel until June reappears with the alien robot at her command, knocking Will down when he tries to stop it, declaring flatly that she saved it this time, and friends don't let friends walk off cliffs. With Morin's ship needing to launch in exactly 88 minutes, June, unable to fly anything herself, has no choice but to fall in line. In space, Dawn's helmet fogs at the worst possible moment, and John has to finish rigging a signal flare alone. Back on the ship, Morin finally launches with the kids aboard, and everything looks stable. No zero gravity, no floating debris, until Will realizes why. The robot secretly took the alien ship's engine before liftoff and hid it aboard. Every other survivor has already boarded the mothership safely, but their ship is now dangerously low on fuel. And June, seizing the moment, orders Morin to abandon John and Dawn entirely and set course straight for the mothership, threatening to throw her out an airlock if she refuses. The robot turns against June, shoving her into the corridor and sealing the door, and Morin locks her out for good. But June isn't finished, and neither is the danger. Using thermal imaging, Morin locates John and Dawn's wreckage and fires a rescue harpoon. It stops just short of the target. June escapes through an emergency exit with the robot free again, and when Will confronts it directly, asking if it still knows who he is, the machine hesitates, lights flickering, before reaching out its hand. Morin, refusing to gamble her children's lives, jettisons the robot into open space through a forced airlock, only for a second combat-ready version of the same robot to tear its way back in through the hull, this time with the original machine fighting to protect Will and Morin against its own kind. John and Dawn are pulled back from the brink of death at the last possible second by June herself, who has a sudden change of heart and saves them both. But before anyone can fully process it, the alien engine hidden aboard their ship activates on its own, tentacle-like conduits reaching through the hull, and a blinding beam of light drags the entire ship into a black hole, spitting them out in a completely unknown star system none of them recognize, exactly where the story leaves off. If you've made it this far, thank you for riding through this one with us. Like the video, subscribe if you're new, turn on notifications so you catch what we recap next, drop your theories in the comments, and go check out more movie recaps on the channel right now.